Hello, and thank you for joining me here on So Stitch House. Today, I wanted to bring up a branch off topic from option paralysis. If you watched our video on option paralysis, then you know that it is when you have so many options that you can't make one decision. This can be a big issue for a variety of reasons, and most of it stems from having the variety of information, which is an important thing. But this variety of information can lead to feelings of inadequacy and fraudulence in your craft. Essentially, it can create the imposter syndrome in you as a witch. Typically, you see this when you're made to believe that what you do is incorrect or that you are a fraud overall. You can feel this very intensely just being a witch without even experiencing anything else, just because you have so many people who are like, wow, you really believe in witchcraft, or wow, you really think you're doing magic, or something else. It's like you can come back at that with any belief system. So the fact that someone chooses to target yours is kind of rude, ignorant, and kind of comical, but not in a fun way. On a larger scale, the imposter syndrome can make it hard for you to feel interested in branching out. The imposter syndrome can make you feel like you're doing everything wrong, maybe you need to find something else, or that you need to copy someone. And this can all stem from option paralysis, and it can also create the idea of chasing perfection. Kind of like my mom says, we have some people who are chasing the Joneses, trying to keep up with the Joneses and be like the top of the food chain, have all the nice things. And then you have other people we kind of buy when they have a garage sale. We still have the nice things, we just didn't pay full price, which is a lot smarter in my opinion. But it's the same idea here. You have some people who are chasing perfection when there is no perfect way to do something. Sure, if you are in a very specific ceremonial religion and you are following a very specific ritual, then there is a way to be perfect but not get a perfect result, because the results are going to vary. They're going to vary based off the day, based off the external forces, based off the quality of the goods that you use in the ceremony. They're going to vary based off the cooperation of the spirits they could vary based off your mood. Maybe you thought you were ready but you weren't, or you questioned it, and that kind of broke some of the components down. Overall, you have so many things that could alter or change the final results. So chasing perfection is going to leave you wanting more. It's going to leave you falling short. And this idea of chasing perfection and seeking to do everything perfectly, or just as so-and-so does it, or just as so-and-so says it should be done to the T, it's going to leave you feeling inadequate. It's going to leave you feeling as if you couldn't be enough, as if you aren't enough, and nothing you have is going to meet those requirements. So you have to remember to break away from this. When you're facing option paralysis in this way, try the variety of ways to do something. When you're performing a ritual, see if there's an alternative way to perform the ritual. See if there are alternative spells to use, or if it's better to write your own. It typically is better to write your own, unless it's some very specific ceremonial thing that you're practicing to get better. But I like to write my own spells or tweak the spells that I use just to be more personal. But practice these different things or collaborate different parts. It's all about experimentation, and you should write down everything that you do so that you know. I generally make a note somewhere. It's not all in one space, which can be the real issue. But you have to keep yourself from chasing perfection. You do want it to come out like you want, but you don't want to think that you need to be a cookie cutter of someone else or of someone else's craft, because your craft is never going to be the same as someone else's. And everyone has their own personal gnosis or general idea of what they see when they see God, and no two people will ever see God the same way, because no one has the same image in their head. An example would be, imagine a tree. Now, do you imagine a cute little cookie cutter tree like you would draw in kindergarten? Or do you imagine a birch tree that's out in your yard that's been there for 10 years? Or do you imagine the tree of life? Do you imagine the energy? What do you think of? Everyone everyone's going to think of something different. And even if you both think of the tree of life, it's going to be visually different inside your head. It's the same thing with your god, goddess, or all the gods that you work with. You're going to see them in a different way than any other person. No two people will see them the same. No two people will interact the same. You may say you do, and you may think you do. But if you go on pen and paper and write everything that you do down, put it into a Venn diagram with someone else, you're going to have a lot of things that don't quite match up the same way. And that's okay. Because each relationship that you have with your god and goddess, or whoever you speak to, is individual to you. And it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the exact way that anyone imagines it, because no one can imagine you. No one can imagine the way you think and move and breathe, and imagine how you put yourself into your craft and how you put yourself into your religion. And you need to remember that it's okay not to chase that perfection, and you shouldn't feel like a fraud. You should never fight that imposter syndrome like it's real. It is the least of your worries. You can tell it to go away. I know that's not that easy. It's really not. When you constantly get told by people like, oh, you believe in that, or what? And you feel like a fraud, you feel like, what have I been doing all this time? Is it all in my head? Am I crazy? Is this weird? Just ignore it. You have to keep pushing it out of your head. Every time I do a video, I face that. Every time I do a video I'm recording, I'm like, there is some asshole out there watching me thinking, this crazy girl on here talking about this, she is insane. She honestly believes this. Or showing me as an example, like, look at this crazy person. Or it's some haters. And I thought about it the other day. It's like, even when a hater is watching my things, it's like, I'm still getting more viewings. So it's like, it's okay. Like, that's fine. Like, a hater can be hating, but if they're watching me, I'm still gonna benefit. And on another scale, it's like, you may feel good putting me down because you don't know what I'm doing, you don't understand it, you don't practice it, it doesn't make sense to you, and that's okay. If you want me to explain it to you, then I will. But if you just want to talk shit, like, I can't help you there. Like, you can just do that and feel good about yourself, but I promise you, no one appreciates you just talking mad shit. Like, grow up. And when I watch a video of myself or I record one, I constantly have the voice in the back of my head that thinks, this is stupid. No one cares. You look like such an imposter, such a fraud. So many people do things different than you. Some people do. Some people appreciate the things you do, but some people don't. Like, is this right? Am I on the right path? Am I doing the right thing? And I know that I feel comfortable doing what I'm doing. I know that I'm happy doing what I'm doing. So I tell it, like, you're not going to bother me today. You're going to leave me alone. And I have to concentrate and just push through. And I feel like everyone should do that more with their own craft, because I feel, and I've seen it talked about with, like, occultism with a side of salt. They talk about how, like, people are afraid to try a new spell or to do their first spell or to do anything because they're caught up in being like a baby witch, which is a toxic word, and I agree, because it's like, I was a baby witch, but really I just didn't have the terminology. I just didn't have the exposure to the things that were okay, and I didn't know what I could agree that is okay. I could say, well, I've done this and this and this, and I've done something like this, but I don't know that it's exactly the same, or if it counts, or if I'm comfortable announcing to the world, I've done this, because if I say I've done this, and I'm doing it in a way that you think is wrong, I'm going to feel like a fraud, or like what I did didn't work, even if at the time it felt like it did. So it's kind of like we fight this idea of being imposters just by comparing ourselves to other people and our craft to other people, when it's never going to be the same, because we are crafting our own way. We are practicing our own thing. It's always going to be different, and we should remember that. Alright, thank you so much for watching today on So Stitch X. We talked about the imposter syndrome and feeling like a fraud in your craft. And before we go, I want to do a shout out. My mom sells these really cute, like, jewelry. This is like a leather, like, cuff that's like made to look like layered. And these are the pull string bracelets that are like braided and really cute, and they're really comfortable, and they're very durable. I also have this collar, which is really cute. It's a choker, but I call it a collar. You can wrap it twice as a bracelet. That was its original purpose, but it looks so much better as a necklace. She sells these. I will link her in the description below. And I'm also wearing the Liberty Book Co. shirt today, and they are my local book company. You can buy their shirt online if you want to help support them, and I think you can buy books online. Things are weird with COVID, so they don't have a lot inside the store right now for shirts. They have a lot of books, and they do offer curbside pickup, and they allow a certain number of people in the store. I will link them in the description below, and feel free to offer your support to these businesses. If you have a small business that you'd like to recommend or that you'd like me to give a shout out to, link them in the description below, or link them in the comments below, and I'll add them to my description in a later video. And I hope you all have a great day, and I hope to see you next time. Oh yes, before I go, there's going to be a link for my Patreon in the description. Please feel free to support. The lowest tier is $3, and I would love all the support that you can get. Bye!